In the name of Allah, the most compassionate, the most merciful, my dear friends and fellows, look, conversation we have to make quite often with the people. Argumentation, we have to do it for some time, off and on. We do enter into the argument with someone else. Although it's not as good to somehow compete with someone else in the argument, but even if at all we have to put ourselves, if at all we do find ourselves in the form of an argument, then there are certain things which should be taken care of, which should be avoided. We are going to speak upon this topic today, that if at all we do find ourselves in an argument with someone else, what are the things which we need to avoid saying? Why? Because if at all we do say these things, then what is going to happen? The other person will become biased against us, will become against us, and will not be able to even accept the very good, the very solid, the very reasonable arguments from our side. So, for all that reason, I believe that we need to avoid, first of all, unnecessary argumentation should be avoided. But if at all it is somewhat necessary, then we do need to understand that what are the things which should be avoided during a course of conversation, so that our argumentation, our arguments are fruitful, so that we don't unnecessarily make the other person biased against us. We don't have to unnecessarily make him against us, because if at all they people do become against us, then what is going to happen? Even the very reasonable argument we do present will not be accepted. So there are certain sentences, there are certain things which we need to avoid. That is going to be the topic of today's discussion, and we have chosen a useful article on the subject as well. The caption of this very beautiful article is 17 things 17 things smart people never say in argument. 17 things smart people never say in argument. This very useful article has been authored by a well-known researcher and author, Jelena Dincic. Jelena Dincic is a known researcher and have written plenty of useful articles, and of course this is one of those articles. Now let's go. Now let's go through all this article and see what are these 17 things which we need to avoid if at all we want to have a good argument, a successful argument, if at all we don't want to make the other person annoyed or against us. First of all, the writer says, you are just stupid. Don't say this thing. Don't say that you are just stupid. Nobody want to listen this from someone else for oneself. Nobody want to be called stupid. Everybody want to be called a sensible or a wise person. So we don't have to call anyone else stupid at all. Number 2, you always do this. If at all they have made a mistake or an error, it does not mean that they always do this. So if at all we do blame them that you always do this, they will start thinking that I don't do it all the time. So why this person is blaming me? The third thing which we need to avoid during the course of an argument is, I don't care about your opinion. I think that we should care about the opinion of other person, because if at all we do tell them that I don't care, what is going to happen as a result? They too will not be doing any care for our opinion as well. So we do have to avoid it. I am too busy. You are wrong. You are always wrong. You are absolutely wrong. No, that is also wrong. We need to tell them that here I need to put my point across, and I want you to be flexible. I want you to listen, to consider my opinion, my point of view, in a considerate manner. Then the fifth is you are just being emotional. You just being emotional. This means that you are not logical. This means that you don't have any solid a good argument. So we do have to avoid it as well. The next is I am too busy to listen to you. This means that we are calling them as a worthless person. Nobody want to be called a worthless person at all. So we have to avoid it. Then you are just jealous. This is also a sort of insult to someone else, and you are just jealous. I think we are not. We shouldn't be calling anyone else a jealous person at all. If at all we do tell them that you are jealous, it actually mean that they people are they people are mean, because jealousy is also always being done by the mean people. So we have to avoid it. The next is you are just being sensitive. You are just being sensitive. It actually means that whatever we are discussing, you don't need to talk about it at all. You are only doing it because you are sensitive. Otherwise, you don't need to talk about it at all. Otherwise, there is no reason to speak on the subject at all. The next is you are just overreacting. You are just overreacting. Again, this thing means that there is nothing important in it. You are just overreacting. I think this is also what we need to avoid. Then it is you are just trying to start a fight. Mean the person the person is not a good person. They are willing to fight only. Fighting is not a good thing at all, and it cannot be done by the good people. So do not blame anyone else. You just want a kind of fight. I don't need to explain it to you. This means that they are useless people. Don't do this. I don't need to explain it to you. Again, it is a kind of insult. The next is you are just seeking attention. You are just seeking attention. Mean there is no such important point in your conversation, in your argument. You are just seeking attention. Again, it is not something right at all. Not right at all, and we need to avoid it actually. And the next is you never understand me. Mean that you are not intelligent enough, you are not sensible enough, you are not educated enough to understand me, or you are not considerate enough to understand me. Again, it is not right at all. The next is you are just being dramatic. You are just being dramatic. Mean they are doing the drama. Drama cannot be done by the wise and by the good people. So do not say that you are just doing a drama. You are just a dramatic. Avoid saying this thing. You are just like that person. You are just like that stupid and foolish person. You are just like that person who have done this much of the bad and that much of the bad. Again, it is not something right at all. The next is I am done with this conversation. I mean, I'm fed up with this conversation. Why? Because this person, in your opinion, the other person is not a good person to talk to. So do not say that I am done or I am fed up with this conversation. And the last is it is pointless to discuss it with you. Mean you will never understand it, and it is pointless to discuss it with you. Again, it is wrong. So a question arises in our mind that if at all we do have to avoid all of these 17 phrases, then what shall we say? I think that this is not the thing. The thing is that if at all we do annoy the other person, if at all they people are angry over us, then it will be very difficult for us to get their cooperation or to mend their offenses and to seek their consent upon what we want to do. And I think we don't have to make them biased or against us at all. So this is the reason that the learned author Jelena Dincic has told us not to use these 17 phrases during the course of an argument, because the smart people avoid it. Thank you.